Hi YouTube, my name is John, and this is going to be episode 1 of my book reviews, titled Say It How It Is, or SIHII for short, I guess. Basically, I'm just going to be reviewing books I've read and giving my blunt opinion on them. Straight to the point. I'm not going to cozy it up or say, oh, it's so good, but not in this way or this. No, I'm just going to say how I felt about it. So yeah, I'm going to say it how it is. A little background on me. I'm a sophomore studying aerospace engineering at OSU right now, and ever since I've gotten into college, I've been really into reading, like a lot more than usual. I've always been into reading, but like once I got in college, I really got into it. And so like I have like a huge just pile of books, just laying in my dorm, and I've had people tell me that like, hey, you should review these books, and I've been thinking about it as well. Like I've one channel that I like to watch a lot is Daniel Green, who is a YouTuber who reviews books on this platform and other types of fantasy news and stuff like that. And I thought, it's a cool idea. Like I like watching these videos. I have opinions of my own, so I'm going to share them here on the internet for you. So the book that I'm going to start out with, very first episode, is George R. R. Martin's Fire and Blood. Now, you may think this is a weird book to start out with, and it is. However, this is the first book I finished since I've gotten on campus this year. Um, and considering other books I might consider to start out first, I don't have on me. Uh, this is as good a start as any. So, what is Fire and Blood about? So, Fire and Blood is a history of House Targaryen from 300 years ago, when Aegon the Conqueror and his two sisters first conquered the seven kingdoms of Westeros and united them into one kingdom. And it goes all the way up to about, I want to say like 150 years before the events of A Song of Ice and Fire, which is Game of Thrones, if we're talking about the show, before season 1. So it goes from Aegon the Conqueror to Aegon the Fourth, which is a little bit after the events of House of the Dragon, if you're watching that show. So this book does contain everything that happens in House of the Dragon, season 1, season 2, season 3, however many seasons it's going to have. So be warned, if you don't want to be spoiled for House of the Dragon, do not read this book, okay? However, I will say it's a very good book. If I were to rate it on a scale of 10, I would give it a solid 8. Normally, I'm not someone who likes to pick up history books. Like, I like I like history. I like to read it a lot in high school, but I'm not going to just pick up a history book and read about it because there's so many other better books to read. However, George does a pretty good job of making this history pretty entertaining, and that's mostly due to a couple reasons. One, the characters are really interesting. Aegon and his sisters, Maegor the Cruel, Jaehaerys and Alysanne, all the Dance of the Dragon characters. They all have that little crazy Targaryen spark in them, but it manifests in different ways. So it's very interesting to see how it plays out, especially when they're ruling Westeros. And then also one thing that I really like about it, it's kind of like it's a bibliography kind of, where it's written from the viewpoints of 3 writers. One is a maester, one is a septon, and then one is the courtful. So you're getting very different perspectives for the same events. And so one perspective might be like, oh, this event happened this and this way, and these were the reasons why it happened. While the other two might be like, no, it was much more foul than that. Like, this is the actual shit that went down, okay? So you're getting like very different perspectives. There's definitely going to be some bias in those perspectives, but that just contributes to the whole fun of the story and reading it. My favorite narrator, so by far, is the Court Fool. Pretty sure his name was Mushroom. Hell of a guy. Love him. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty entertaining read. And speaking on more on that point, considering that you have 3 different narrators who are all arguing about what actually happened, the reasons why, you're not going to know what exactly happened, but that's part of the interest of the story. Like, you get to figure it out for yourself. You get to theorize yourself. Some places it might seem pretty obvious. Other times it might not. Like, I don't want to talk about House of the Dragon spoilers, but there's a certain scene in I think like episode 6 or something involving Rhaenyra's first husband. Um, what was his name again? It was the son of the sea snake. Um, but what happened in the show was drastically different than what was theorized to happen in the book, because they like expounded more on it in the show. And it's just really interesting. I like the parallels between the show and the book. Um, However, some drawbacks to the book. It's not an entire history of the Targaryen family. It's split up actually in two books. Second book's not out yet. I'm pretty sure George is writing that right now. It's going to be called Blood and Fire. Such a creative title. Love that. Um, and that's going to cover from Aegon the Fourth up to present day A Song of Ice and Fire. So yeah, that's not really a negative. But I just to let you know. Uh, However, there are some things. If you don't like length, this book is kind of thick. It's about as big as like the other Song of Ice and Fire books, I think. Um, it's roughly a little bit over 700 pages. It's a beefy book though. It's the size of an Amscale book. If you know what that is. Shout out to all my AP history veterans. But yeah, it's definitely a big book. I think it does get dry. It's been a little while since I read this. I read this back in like August of 2022. Um, I think it does get dry a little bit in some of the earlier sections of the book, and it definitely ramps up once you get to the Dance with Dragons part. Uh, but I mean, if that's maybe because I don't really enjoy reading history that much, like even though it is fictional and involves very interesting and fucked up characters, it's still a history book, right? And so if you're not really that enthralled with reading history, you might get bored at some points. Yeah, no, honestly, like it's a pretty solid book. Like George did pretty good on this book. Hopefully, he does as well on Winds of Winter. We'll see how that goes. It's been 12 years now, George, please. Um, but yeah, no, I would definitely recommend reading this book as long as you've read the Song of Ice and Fire series before. Because if you haven't read it, I mean, you could probably read this book and still be fine and enjoy it. But if you've read A Song of Ice and Fire, you'll just appreciate the lore and everything you know about House Targaryen even more from reading A Song of Ice and Fire. Uh, so yeah, overall, solid 8 out of 10. Would recommend a read. Just also don't read it if you don't want to get spoiled for House of the Dragon. And yeah, so that was my first episode of book reviews. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my opinion or if you didn't, and what you liked and didn't like about Fire and Blood. I forgot the title there for a second. About Fire and Blood. And let me know if you want me to review any other books. I have, like I said, I have a whole stack in my dorm just lying around there that I've read, so I'll probably pick another one up next. I'm not sure what I'll do next. Surprise you guys. But yeah, that's it for this episode. See you.